This lesson is over measures of central tendency, range, and missing information. The chart that I've given you is just a quick review of measures of central tendency and range. So range is the first one we'll talk about, and that represents the spread of the data. It describes how spread out it is. And it is the difference between the greatest number and the least number in a set of data. So the process that you use to find the range is that you're going to subtract the least number from the greatest number in the set of data. So in other words, you're going to do high minus low. So when we look at this set of data, the highest number that we have is 15, and the lowest number we have is 9. So I'm going to do high minus low. The range of my data is 6. So what that means is my highest number and my lowest number is 6 units apart. Okay, and then actually I had this one question on the bottom that we need to answer. It says, how many range may you have from a set of data? Is it going to be 1, 2, 3, or just one number? So when you look at this, whenever you're doing high minus low, it's always going to be just one answer. The mean represents the average of the data. It is the sum of the numbers, which means add them all up, divided by the number of pieces. So we're going to add all the numbers and then divide by the number of items in the set. So here's a set of data. We're going to add it all up to get 104. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces of data. So 104 divided by 8 is 13. So the mean is 13. Because we're doing this process where you're going to add them all up and divide, that's going to give us one solid answer. There will only ever be one mean in your set of data. The median represents the midpoint of the data, or the middle number in that data, when the data is arranged in numerical order. So that's the most important thing. It needs to be in numerical order. So we're going to order the numbers from least to greatest, and then we're going to find the number in the middle. For example, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 7, 9, 9. Starting from end to end, I'm going to cross that one off and that one, and that one, that one, and that one. 5 is in the middle, so it is the median. And the way that I remember this is if you are ever driving down a road that has that piece of grassy area in the middle, that's actually called a median, and it's in the middle of the road. So that's kind of my trick to help me remember which one this is. Now, occasionally you're going to have a set of data, as you can see over here, that doesn't have just one number in the middle. So whenever you find that there isn't just one number in the middle, then the median is the mean, or the average of the two middle numbers. So 13 plus 14 is 27. I'm going to divide that by 2, and that gives me 13.5. So the median of these two numbers is 13.5. Okay, and just like the previous ones that we've done, notice that our answer is just an answer. Because we're using this process to solve, you will only ever have one median in a set of data. Mode represents the number or numbers that appear most often in a set of data. So we're going to look for the number or the numbers that are listed the most. In this particular case, we've got 14 listed 3 times. Now, yes, 13 is listed more than once, but it's not listed the most number of times. So 14 is listed 3 times, which means it is the mode. However, if you think about it, if I added another 13 here, then 13 is listed 3 times, and so is 14. That means that they would both be modes. So how many mode may you have from a set of data? As many as appear. So the next thing we're going to look at is working backwards. What if you know the mean or the average, but you don't know all the data? So what do I need to get on the test to make an A average would be an example of this. So if you look at the next part of your packet, which is these notes, we've got a few example problems. It says Brian worked an average of 8 hours a day for 5 days. He worked 4 hours on Monday, 10 hours on Tuesday, 7.5 hours on Wednesday, and 2 hours on Thursday. How many hours did he work on Friday? Okay, so I know that he worked 8 hours a day for 5 days. That was his average. So in all, that means we had to work 40 hours. Now, we could have worked a different amount on several different days, but in all, we worked 40 hours. I already know that I worked 4, 10, 7.5, and 2. So that's going to give me, that's 9.5, so 19.5, 23.5. So I worked 23.5 hours so far. So now it's asking me how many hours did I work on Friday? Well, I know I had to work a total of 40, and I've already worked 23.5. So that means that on Friday, I must have worked 16.5 hours. So basically what I did is I took the idea that all of these added together, including the one that I don't know, that information is going to be divided by 5 because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces of data. So this is me finding the average. And I know that that average should equal 8 because it told me that was how much on average. So what I basically did here was I worked this equation backwards. I simplified all this information to 23.5. And what I did was I multiplied both sides of this equation by 5 to get rid of that bottom. And then I subtracted 23.5 from both sides. Now, I would expect you to recognize an equation like this and recognize that this is what's going on and this is how you would find this missing value. But if you're more comfortable working it this way, that's fine with me. You just need to be able to recognize that when I'm looking for this missing piece, that if I'm adding all these up, including the missing piece, and dividing by 5, that should equal my answer. So I'm going to do it both ways on the rest of these problems. This next one says, in her first 4 basketball games of the season, Annie scored 9, 8, 10, and 13. How many points must she score in the next game to have an 11-point average? So that means that we're doing 9, 8, 10, 13, plus our 5th game, which is whatever it is. I'm not sure yet. That's going to be divided by 5 to give me an 11-point average, which means 9, 8, that's 17, 27, 30, 40. So she's already scored 40 points. We need to figure out that 5th game so we can divide and multiply by 11. So you could do it the equation way and say 40 plus x equals 55, which means we're going to subtract 40 from both sides, and x is going to give us 15. So she's got to score 15 points. Or you can work backwards and say, okay, so 11 for 5 games means that she's going to have to score a total of 55. I know that she's already scored 40 points because I've added this stuff up, which is going to leave me left over with 15. Again, you can work it this way if you want to, but you should be able to recognize this equation as well. Charlotte's dog Sparky had 5 puppies whose weights averaged 5.4 pounds. These are the weights of the first 4 puppies. We need to find the weight of the 5th puppy. So this is my equation. I'm going to add all these values up plus the weight of the last puppy. And I'm going to divide that by 5 because there's 5 puppies. And that should equal 5.4. So 5.4 times 5 is 27. So they should weigh 27 in all. 6, 5.4, 5.5, and 4 is 20.9. So all of these add up to 20.9, which is what I'm going to subtract from 27. That gives me that the last puppy had to weigh 6.1 pounds. Okay, so again, here's my equation. You can show all the steps solving your equation to get the answer, or you can work backwards like this. Either way is okay. Jacob's current grades are as listed. He wants his average to be a 92. What must he get on his 7th assignment? So I'm going to take my 98, my 69, 88, 90, 85, and 75. So that's 6 scores. I want to know about my 7th score. I'm going to divide by 7, and that should give me my average of 92. So 92 times 7 is 644. And then I need to figure out what all of these added up is. So 98 plus 69 plus 88 plus 90 plus 85 plus 75 gives me 505. So when I subtract that from 644, I get 139. So he needs to score 139 points on his last assignment. Is that likely possible? Probably not. Most assignments are out of 100, so it means that he would not be able to attain an average of a 92. So that's it for today. Please complete the assignment on the next few pages of your packet.